एक जिंदगी जीनी है, जो भी शॉर्टकट डॉक्टर बोल रहा है लो. It's madness. Ozempic लिया, हाँ तो क्या हुआ?
People, the world has officially lost its mind over two injections. These two injections are Ozempic and Mounjaro.
Ozempic.
Ozempic. A game changer.
Injectable weight loss drugs are hot.
People are doing Ozempic parties here in LA.
Welcome to the 82nd Golden Globes, Ozempic's biggest night.
Thanks largely to Hollywood celebrities.
When I look around this room, I can't help but wonder, is Ozempic right for me?
And you know what? Surprisingly, India is about to turn these drugs into a money-making machine.
Ozempic and Mounjaro. It's a popular weight loss drug.
2026 is expected to beginning of a nationwide health transformation.
The superstar weight loss drug that's dominated celebrity circles and global headlines is finally coming to India.
Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic, is now worth more than Coca-Cola and McDonald's combined. Their market cap is bigger than the entire GDP of Denmark, but while on one side they are being called as miracle drugs, on the other side there are patients with paralyzed stomachs, suicide cases are rising, and we are seeing horrible cases of side effects.
The National Medicines Regulator has issued a safety alert for Ozempic.
The manufacturers of Ozempic and Mounjaro are facing a lawsuit regarding alleged side effects.
Two recent deaths in the US have prompted the Food and Drug Administration to change the product information for Ozempic.
So on one side, while it appears to be a cash machine, on the other side, it looks like an epidemic in the making. So in this case study, let's do a deep dive and try to understand, when we could land on the moon, why have we not been able to solve for weight loss, and that too for a century? What exactly is Ozempic, Mounjaro and GLP-1? How is it a gold mine for India? And is it even healthy to take these drugs? People, before we move on, we have an important announcement from Ditto Insurance. While researching the Ozempic case study, one thing became very clear to me. Healthcare costs are becoming scary. This isn't about rare diseases. Take diabetes. It isn't a one-time issue. It often escalates into heart, kidney and even nerve problems, and quietly, it turns routine care into a financial crisis. In fact, every year, over 55 million Indians slip into poverty because of medical bills. When even basic procedures cost 50,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees in private hospitals, when medicine becomes a lifelong expense, chronic care and healthcare becomes an irreversible disaster for most Indian families. In fact, Nitin Kamath put it perfectly when he said, most Indians are one hospitalization away from bankruptcy, which means even a hospital bill of 2 to 3 lakh rupees can wipe out 6 to 12 months of savings just like that. So the real question is, as healthcare becomes more and more expensive and long-term, how do we protect our families, especially our parents, that too without draining our savings? The obvious answer over here is health insurance, right? But the problem is, most people have no idea what their health insurance covers and what it doesn't cover. And then during claims, we get the shock of our life. That is why I personally recommend using Ditto to choose the right health insurance. Ditto is a Zerodha-backed company that acts as your personal insurance guide. It is so authentic and trustworthy that even if you want to buy an expensive health insurance, they will ask you not to buy it. Plus, if your claim ever gets denied, Ditto fights on your behalf with all the paperwork and support and gets you the insurance if your case is genuine. And the best part, the consultation, the calls, the claim support, all of this is 100% free for you. And unlike other insurance agents, they don't spam call you. You can buy the policy at your own convenience. So be tension free and book a free consultation call. So click the link in the description and get a free consultation from Ditto and choose the best policy for yourself and your family. People, the first thing you need to understand is, why is weight loss such a difficult problem to solve? And with all the technological advancements in the 21st century, why have we not been able to solve this problem at all? Well, the answer to it lies in biology. People, do you realize humans are the only creatures on the planet that have absolute certainty of food? No animal on the planet has as much certainty as humans for its next meal. Even though we call lion the king of the jungle, he is a king who starves. A single lion hunting alone fails 80 to 90% of the time. Even in a pride, they miss 70% of their targets. In fact, most nights, the king goes to sleep hungry. Similarly, a wolf chasing a moose or deer has a success rate of less than 15%. So they have to run and burn calories for miles only to return empty-handed. In fact, even the ultimate predator of the ocean is not a guaranteed killer. When a great white shark breaches the water to catch a seal, it misses 50% of the times. So half of its massive energy bursts result in nothing but a mouthful of water. And even us, for 300,000 years, woke up with the exact same terror as the lion and the wolf. But for 99.99% of human history, hunger was not a feeling, it was a permanent state of mind. In fact, the strongest evidence is written in your DNA. Our bodies are biologically engineered to hold on to every single calorie because for 290,000 years, the next meal was never guaranteed to mankind. In fact, the reason why you crave sugar isn't because you have a sweet tooth, it's because for 290,000 years, sweet things like ripe fruit or honey, they were rare and they gave quick energy when survival was dependent on it. If humans had food certainty, obesity wouldn't exist at all. We get fat today because our bodies are still preparing for a famine that never comes. And that is the problem. So when you start losing weight, you think it's great, but to your body, it is an emergency. The moment you decrease your calories, your body triggers a famine protocol. This protocol has 3 ruthless rules. Rule number 1 is fat holding. When you eat, your body doesn't know when the next meal is coming. So it treats every calorie like gold and hence it will store maximum fat. So it becomes very difficult to lose fat with time. Secondly, the moment your body sees your weight drop from 80 kgs to 70 kgs, your body doesn't think, wow, how fit I am. It says, you are witnessing a famine. So you know what it does? It cuts the power, it literally lowers your body temperature, makes you lethargic and even slows down your organ function. In fact, research shows that when you lose weight, your metabolism drops by 5 to 10%. So you feel cold, you feel tired and even your brain functions less because apparently your brain is an expensive organ to run. And then in the third rule of the famine protocol, a chemical warfare starts. This is the cruelest part of all. Your body starts secreting a hormone called ghrelin. This is the hunger hormone. When you lose fat, your body spikes ghrelin levels through the roof. It sends a chemical signal screaming at your brain to start eating. At the same time, it suppresses the other hormone called leptin, which is the hormone that tells you that you are full and you need to stop eating. So you feel cravings, chocolates become more tasty, and once you start eating, you eat like a hooligan. So do you realize you aren't fighting a lack of discipline? You are fighting a biological system which is designed to keep you alive during an ice age. But the problem is that ice age never comes. This is the reason why it is very, very difficult to lose weight. So you know what? To fight these 290,000 years of evolution, mankind started coming up with new inventions every decade, calling it the miracle drug that can solve for weight loss. In the early 1900s, people used to actually eat tapeworms so that those tapeworms could eat the food in their stomach and then cause weight loss. But all it did was increase infection. Then in the 1920s, funnily, cigarettes were marketed as appetite control instrument. You don't believe me? Look at this copy.
Keep a slender figure no one can deny.
Reach for a Lucky instead of a sweet.
It's toasted, no throat irritation, no cough.
Then came the 1930s. During the 1930s, a chemical called dinitrophenol came up, which ended up blinding people. Then in the 1950s, vibrating belts came up, but it didn't give any results. Then in the 1960s, there was a massive trend of sleeping beauty diet, which apparently was tried by Elvis Presley himself. And you know how brutal this diet was? It was an extreme crash diet where doctors gave sleeping pills to keep people asleep so that they don't eat much. Then in the 1970s, Dr. Robert Atkins developed the concept of keto diet, which is a high protein, high fat, low carb diet that actually became beneficial to people. But the problem was most people couldn't resist the urge of eating sugar and rice. Now, do you see the problem? If you think about all these solutions, they had 4 major problems. They relied on either discipline or willpower or starvation, or they were complete lies. And that is the reason why the world still is desperately waiting for a miracle drug. And that miracle drug came up in 2017 with the name of Ozempic.
Novo Nordisk started out as a diabetes company. They discovered this compound.
In just a few years, Ozempic has become a household name and a cultural phenomenon. GLP-1 drugs are everywhere, and already 1 in 8 US adults have tried them.
I felt normal.
How much weight did you lose?
25 kilos?
But here's the crazy part. Ozempic wasn't even meant to be a weight loss drug. Yes, just like Viagra was originally meant for chest pain, Ozempic was created strictly for type 2 diabetes, and its only job was to help diabetic patients manage their insulin levels. But you know what? With time, the doctors started noticing that this drug started to have a strange side effect. Patients weren't just fixing their blood sugar, they were leaving food on their plates, they were skipping snacks, and they were forgetting to eat lunch. So the question is, how was this happening? You remember rule number 3 of the Famine Protocol? In the Famine Protocol, rule 3 says, when you lose fat, your body spikes ghrelin levels through the roof. And this hormone sends a chemical signal screaming at your brain to start eating. At the same time, it suppresses leptin, which is the hormone that tells you that you are full and you need to stop eating. And this is the reason why you start to feel cravings. But you know what Ozempic does? Ozempic simply reverses this chemical warfare because Ozempic contains a molecule called Semaglutide. This molecule is a copycat. It mimics a natural hormone in your body called GLP-1. Now, normally, GLP-1 is a short-lived messenger. When you eat a meal, GLP-1 signals your brain that you're full and then it disappears after a few minutes. But Ozempic is like GLP-1 on steroids. Instead of disappearing, it stays in your system for days. At the same time, it slows down the emptying of your stomach so you physically feel full for hours even without trying. So for the first time in history, there was a drug that did not ask for willpower, it did not ask for discipline, it simply removed the desire to eat. Now think about it. The keto diet failed for many because you had to fight the urge to eat bread. The sleeping beauty diet failed because you had to knock yourself out to avoid eating. Whereas Ozempic, it doesn't make you fight the urge, it deletes the urge itself. And this shift was so massive that the company that makes Ozempic, Novo Nordisk, it became so valuable in 2024 that they made a profit of $14.6 billion. And eventually, their share price shot up by 400% from 2013 to 2024. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Seeing this mountain of cash, the American giant Eli Lilly entered the war. They did not just copy Ozempic, they tried to beat it by releasing a product called Mounjaro in 2022.
Ozempic and Wegovy aren't the only drugs making waves in the world of weight loss.
Mounjaro weight loss, this is a game changer. This is magic.
Pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly says their popular diabetes drug, Mounjaro,
may lead to potentially greater weight loss than similar medications like Ozempic and Wegovy.
So while Ozempic mimics one hormone, which is GLP-1, Mounjaro mimics two hormones, GLP-1 and another hormone called GIP. So it is basically Ozempic Pro Max. And the moment Eli Lilly launched it, the game flipped. Their stock skyrocketed, and by Q3 2024 alone, Eli Lilly reported a staggering $11.44 billion in revenue, which was a 20% jump from previous year. And today, Eli Lilly is valued at $1 trillion. And while the entire world is fascinated by the profits, stock rise, and the results that these weight loss drugs have achieved, very few people are actually talking about the disastrous side effects of GLP-1. You see, in the world of biology, there is no such thing as free lunch. While the stock market is celebrating, the medical reality of GLP-1 is actually terrifying. Look at this. On December 1st, the Australian Health Ministry issued a formal warning for suicidal thoughts after receiving 72 severe reports. And experts are also warning that it can trigger other diseases like pancreatitis, gastric diseases, muscle loss, and even vision loss. In fact, trials show that 40% of the weight that you lose is actually your lean muscle and not fat. And to make matters worse, in the US, when drugs are not available in enough quantities, they actually make it to a list called shortage drugs. And this is a disaster in the making. You know what this list is all about? The moment a drug hits this list, a legal loophole opens up in the US. The FDA says Okay guys, since big pharma cannot make enough of these drugs, we will let small and local pharmacies make their own versions of these drugs. These are called compounding pharmacies. These labs buy raw ingredients from unauthorized sources, they mix it in the back rooms and they sell it as medicine. In fact, the FDA found drugs consisting of modified chemicals which were not even approved for human injection. So effectively, because of this shortage loophole, millions of Americans are buying injections from random websites and they're practically injecting poison. This is the story of GLP-1. Now the question is, if the story of GLP-1 is so dark, why did I say that it's a gold mine for India? And how does it make any sense for India to make money out of this drug? Well, that is because while the patent of Novo Nordisk is protected in the US and Europe till 2032, in India and China, the patent for Semaglutide, the molecule in Ozempic, it expires in January 2026. So do you realize what that means? Indian companies can soon start manufacturing a product very, very similar to Ozempic. And if they do, it will create a massive price arbitrage in the global market. While an American will pay $1,000, an Indian might just pay $50 or 4,000 rupees for the exact same molecule. Now, what will happen because of this price arbitrage? As we all know, Indians have mastered the art of getting expensive Western drugs and rebuilding a similar product at 1/10th, sometimes 1/100th the cost. And right now, every major Indian pharma giant is quietly building factories to flood the market when the clock strikes midnight 2026. In fact, they're all in the race to produce generic Ozempic that might be available for 3,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees per month. So suddenly, the celebrity drug might just become a middle class drug. But this is where it gets dangerous for the Western giants. If a pill costs $1,000 in New York and $50 in Mumbai, smuggling is inevitable. So the US government will do everything in its capacity to block it. Big Pharma will try to sue Indian companies, and a lot of legal bloodbath is already taking place.
Novo Nordisk knocking on the doors of the Delhi High Court asking to restrain Sun Pharma from dealing in any shape or form from Semaglutide.
The Delhi High Court has restrained Dr. Reddy's and OneSource from selling Semaglutide. Now the order is in lieu of a patent infringement suit which was filed against Dr. Reddy's and OneSource by Novo Nordisk.
But, there is one big problem. Even though the drug will be free to copy in 2026, the auto-injected device is still heavily patented. So making the liquid will be easy, but making the high-tech pen that injects it painlessly is very, very hard. So the moral of the story is that in 2026, the dam will break. We will move from a world where thinness was a luxury for the rich to a world where it will be a commodity for the masses. India will likely be the factory that makes the world thin, and in the process, it might just destroy the $1,000 per month business model of the Western giants. The only question is whether this profit is healthy or is it a catalyst to start another epidemic. If it is done within limits and it is prescribed only to those people who need it, it'll be all good. If not, this is a catastrophe in the making.